I'm not gonna eat too many of them because I'm gonna do voices. Which means I'm gonna have to drink. I'm using like this as a reusable flask right now for some reason. Okay. Let's try to go into the roles here now. Once I'm gonna... There we go. The protection afforded to the machine by the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act was revoked. However, before a thorough investigation could begin, the investigation was obliterated from existence. As such, this will become a very different trial. Do you mean who blew it up, or do you mean like that's the difference? Well, I don't know. As it stands now, with no evidence on which to draw meaningful conclusions, the authenticity of the kinesis machine will remain forever in obscurity. Indeed, a most unfortunate state of affairs. However, one thing remains clear. The victim's death was the result of the actions of the accused. Of that we can be certain. For there was the accused himself who was operating the machine and who ultimately caused its loss of control.
Objection!
As Lord Van Six rightly says, it's a very different trial now. The accused accepts responsibility for his part in the events that transpired. He acknowledged that Mr. Asman died as a result of the accident caused by his machine's malfunction. However, unbeknownst to the professor, he was being deliberately deceived by a pair of very clever frauders. Names, counsel, if you please. The engineer, Mr. Enoch Drebber, and the victim himself, Mr. Odi Asman. It's a bit strange for me to say Enoch, because it's literally two words for me, which is E and N, which is N, which is one, and OCH, which is and, och. Like jag och du, me and you. And the victim... Prank call. I do love like saying this as prank call. It's technically not a prank call, but people from those lines must more or less realize after a while, like they are considered prank calls. So what exactly were those two men up to behind the defendant's back? The defense intends to expose that information, thus establishing the equivalent innocence of the defendant. I don't know if that would work. Let me check. Don't believe it will. Thank you, counsel. The position of the prosecution and the defense have been clearly stated. Oh, sorry. Lord Van Six, summon your first witness, please. At once, my lord. The prosecution calls the engineer, Mr. Enoch Drebber, to the stand. I'm trying to find a pun with his name, but I can't because of his first name. And I don't know of any Swedish word that is Dreb. Hold on. Is there actually a Swedish word called Drebber? I'm gonna search for that because I'm very curious now. Let's use this. What is his name fully? Hold on. It's like I just need to spell it. Okay. It seems to just be a place in Germany. That's the only thing I can get up. Else this game itself. Wait, hold on. Drebber Sherlock Holmes. Oh, wait, hold on. Apparently it's a person from Sherlock Holmes. That explains why I couldn't find a pun for it, because it's literally an existent person. Enoch J. Drebber was an American man traveling Europe in 1881. He was murdered by Jefferson Hope, and his body was found in an abandoned house in London. The mystery of his murder was Sherlock Holmes and Dr. John Watson's first case together, which Watson recounted as in a study in Scarlet. Huh. That's interesting. Oh, wait, Jefferson Hope. No, I don't want Jefferson Hope. Huh, okay, so it's actually a person that got murdered in the Sherlock Holmes books. So there is not a pun for his name. It's literally an existing person of that speculations. Name. Enoch Drebber. Occupation. Hard to pin down, I would say. I have very difficult to see that as a monocle, because his left one, for us the right one, is a monocle. It feels like it's just something to cover his eye with. Your file indicates that you are currently being investigated in connection with another case. The theft of a waxwork model, is it? A most extraordinary sounding business. But that has no bearing in this trial. I assure you. Cleave it from your mind. You're familiar with the public experimentation carried out at the Great Exhibition some days ago. The accused super high voltage instantaneous kinesis demonstration. Yes, you could say that. I am aware of it. There was a terrible accident, wasn't there? It was you, Mr. Drebber, who constructed the vast machine used in the experiment. Or so our investigations indicate. Can you confirm your involvement? Yes, I constructed it in precise accordance with the blueprints. But that's all. Then the court would be very interested to hear your thoughts about the machine, I'm sure. An amazing device, if you ask me. The pinnacle of modern science. Making instantaneous kinesis a reality at last. What? Good gracious. Do you mean to say that experiment was bona fide? Is that your belief, sir? Yes, that is very much my belief. Such a waste that it blew up. Objection! Well, we already established the machine was nothing more than a prop for an elaborate conjuring trick. Objection! You established nothing of the sort. All that was shown during yesterday's proceeding is that the same outcome would have been produced by means of staged trickery. The defense merely proposed a method and demonstrated its feasibility. Nothing more. But, okay, that's fun. We're procrastinated long enough, I feel. Witness, will you give your formal testimony about the machine that you constructed for the purpose of the demonstration at the Great Exhibition? Understood. I met the young professor approximately 1 year ago through Mr. Asman's introduction. He provided me with blueprints and I constructed a machine to his precise specifications. It was no trick. If the whole show was a fraud, it will require a double body double. Tell me, did the victim have a twin? All the spectators saw the birdcage appear above their heads, and then crash head first in the crystal tower. A terrible accident, I grant you. Perhaps the science on which the machine was built was flawed somehow. A body double. That goes without saying, surely. To give the impression that someone has moved it, when in reality it hasn't. It's a basic conjuring principle. The deception cannot be achieved without substituting the original with a fake at some point in the performance. But would it be right in saying you haven't managed to establish anything along those lines? A core incident. The prosecution has already confirmed that Mr. Asman had no twin sibling. It is my understanding that this witness is well versed in conjuring artfulness, but such talents do not indicate that they was actually able to accomplish what he claims. Namely, the construction of what, by all accounts, must have been an extremely complex scientific machine. Hold on. I don't know why, but I feel like Drebber's voice I'm doing is like taking a toll on my voice here, so I'm just gonna have something to drink so I can do it. Whatever do you mean? Well, there we go. I was wondering what I was watching. I kind of forgot what I had on my YouTube. And apparently it autoplayed. I was about to say Demon Souls. It's not Demon Souls, it's Elden Ring. Yesterday's proceedings brought the true nature of your past exploits to light, Mr. Drebber. It did, my lord. As a swindler who preys on innocent scientists to elect government grant money through conjuring know-how. Yes, it's true that I possess considerable knowledge of stage magic. But, crucially, my scientific knowledge more than matches that of any academic in the field. Investigations of the witness workshop attest to that claim, my lord. As evidence, the police found this Royal Society trophy for young talent science in there. Yes, that's true. We spotted it there ourselves. If a hypothesis is sound, it can always be forged into a physical manifestation with sufficient skill. Though I have sold the secrets of some deceptive wiles to sniveling talent scientists in the past. Would you therefore assess that the explosion of the machine was an unfortunate accident? Or, of course, a deliberate act of murder, carried out by misuse of the science? Okay, cross-examination. I really love these crackers. I'm not lying. They're tasty as hell. And that's why I bought 3 packs of them. I thought it was better to do it or not. Okay, we already know this, so I'm gonna press this. So you're already acquainted with Mr. Asman himself? Not really. By chance, I had seen his name mentioned in the papers. That's all. I had no interest in his private affairs. If it was an unscrupulous investor, it was no concern of me. As long as people pay their bills, I take up my tools and construct what they ask. So why did Mr. Asman approach in particular then? I'm gonna check something. Yeah, we have the head. Who can say? I presume because my name is associated with excellent engineering. Not to mention excellent in fraud. Hard to gauge, but the point is, all I did was construct the machine according to the blueprints I was given. In other words, the Kinesis machine was built on solid scientific principles. Yes, you might say that. Professor Hairbrain certainly has a mind like no other. Okay. Hold it! It's clear that you have both scientific knowledge and knowledge of conjuring magic. However, the more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to handle whatever comes along. The problem is I breathe out more than I do a voice. It's like sometimes you just have to take a goddamn breath. But your implication is that I furnished the machine with some trickery, I think. It's a possibility that we have to explore. Unfortunately, though, the machine has been blown up to Kingdom Come. So there is really nothing left to explore, is there? It appears that the kinetic machine was fitted with a timed explosive device of some kind. There is nothing left of that device either. Not a single shred of evidence remains. I hear. Bum 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 bum. But in any case, it's abundantly clear that the experiment couldn't have been a trick. Hold it! Of course, that's it. Mr. Asman was a twin. Objection! Technically, we already know that he didn't have that, so I'm just gonna skip this because he already said that, so I don't know. Yeah, the issue is like, if we knew who was underneath here, we could actually do that, but unfortunately, I'm gonna examine this thing. Can I open it up or something? No, doesn't seem like it. Doesn't seem to be anything hidden. I thought you could open it up or something. What's something that's hidden in there? The only thing I know is that we can later on, I don't know if it is now or later, say that the mannequin must have been there. And the proof we have is the fragment of very thick glass within the jacket of that one. I need another one. They're fucking tasty. I cannot stop eating these. These are insanely good for some reason. Probably just a sour cream and onion thing. Because it's not like a big taste. It's a very even, good taste. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna save because I don't trust myself. I'm gonna try something. Oh, no, nothing. Just that the idea of someone who looked identical to the victim is playing on my mind. Okay. So I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna present.
Objection!
Piss. Okay, nah. That's what I thought. I wanted to test because I was uncertain if it was there, but at least we have something. I believe it's later on then.
Hold it!
It crashed head first, you say? According to the many witness report, from there at the time, yes. Wait, head first? Hold on. I'm pretty certain it was, yeah, it was feet first. You were not there at exhibited ground on the day. Unlikely. I rarely leave my workshop. Yet another one of your unique inventions was found at the scene. Well, it was the unveiling of the machine I labored for over many months. I saw it clearly with my own eyes. The birdcage plummeting head first into the tower. What a surprise. I believe the victim's neck was broken from the headlong fall, wasn't it? Hold on. Autopsy. Hemorrhage of the wound, chest between heart. Ah. Yeah. How would you have come by that information? Even a infernal recluse like me reads the newspapers, you know. His voice is not fun to do. I am gonna see if I can like slowly change it to something that fits, but doesn't hurt me. Accordingly to the reports, 2 injuries were apparent on the victim's body. I'm gonna do without like breathing out too much. Yes, he had been stabbed in the chest by a screwdriver, believing to belong to the defendant, and he had a broken vertebrae as a result of fall from a considerable height. Correct. My learned friend has been doing his research, it seems. Do we know which injury was the fatal one? Sadly not. Forensic science is not yet at a level where such things can be determined. What we do know is that the victim died having sustained both injuries at some points during the experiment. And since we found it in the birdcage with his neck broken, it's obvious that he fell from a considerable height. I'm gonna check that because it didn't fall head first.
Objection!
Wasn't head first. We examine the birdcage that crashed into the crystal tower ourselves. As you can see, the cage, which is a wooden construction, has sustained damage in one particular spot. Following the explosion, it fell some 30 feet onto the glass of the crystal tower. That level of damage is to be expected, surely. I agree. The damage itself is entirely understandable. What doesn't make sense is the location of that damage. All the breakage in the wood are at the base of the birdcage, not the top. What are you saying? That's the opposite of what they should be. That's right, my lord. The birdcage was at the scene is damaged at its base. There are reports of the birdcage falling headlong to the crystal tower, yet the damage is at the bottom. The only way to reconcile these two facts is to accept that there was two bird cages in the play that day, which were at some point switched. Switched during what wasn't a scientific experiment at all, but an elaborate piece of stage trickery. I cannot dig his coat though. Not gonna lie, I cannot dig it. Good gracious, explain yourself, witness. If we examine the facts, there are only one logical conclusion we can draw. The damage on the base of the birdcage clearly indicates that it crashed tail first into the tower.
Objection!
But multiple witness reports claim it fell head first. The birdcage materialized in the sky next to a balloon flying over the stage, following a spontaneous explosion at an altitude of some 60 feet above ground level, which is approximately 18 meters. It then proceeded to fall some 30 feet in the crystal tower in the ensuing deflagration. Witness reports amid such chaos are notoriously unreliable.
Objection!
But the victim's neck was broken.
Objection!
He plumbed 30 feet inside a heavy wooden cage. However he fell, it will be unsurprising to find one or two of his vertebrae crushed. Oh. What's going on with you then? A riveting scientific analysis of events from the prosecution there. They're to be even more rigorous. You could have said it was only one vertebra, actually. I find it hard to see that it's motivating Lord Van Seeks. This witness clearly is a swindler. I wanted to see if he's a personal friend of his. If you're going to establish this deception, do it right. Sorry? I feel like that's the undertone here. Yes. There's some more point the defense appears to have forgotten. It obviously wasn't a trick, as a certain truth very plainly demonstrates. What? It seems to me that the cross-examination had better continue until we resolve this matter. Mr. Drebber, you will amend your testimony with details of this truth. Of course. We must treat the mother scientifically after all. Okay, it's much easier doing his voice right like I do it now. I really like these. I'm gonna take small bites though because I cannot do voices.
Hold it!
Okay. What do you mean? Well, before the demonstration began, the victim was alive on the stage in front of an audience. Yes? There are a lot of witnesses who saw Mr. Asman on the experimentation stage, that's true. And the victim's neck broke as a result of an impact following a fall. Logically, therefore, the victim must have fallen from somewhere. The balloon exploded, was at an altitude of 60 feet. The point of impact on the tower was 30 feet up. That difference of 30 feet is therefore the total distance of the birdcage fell. And there is no other location from which the cage could have fallen that distance if it didn't drop out of the sky. Ergo, the victim himself must have been beamed from the stage into the sky above the crystal tower. Okay. Dear me, every time I hear it explained, it sounds increasingly plausible. Oh, yes. It's a very well thought out.
Certainly, although the spectators on the day saw it, the bird ship plummeted 30 feet through the air, I mean.
Irritatingly, yes. Well, we have the balloon. Or is it the image?
Objection!
Shit, it's not the image. Damn it! Damn it! Bum 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 bum. Rum bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna save again because I don't. No, like I more or less just messed up here. I might just mess up again.
Hold it!
Oh shit! I pressed the wrong button. I was going to press left, not right. Can I try the balloon? A torn piece of canvas-like material back with rubber that was found under the experimentation stage. There's scores marked on the edges. I'm gonna try this.
Objection!
Nah, okay. Okay. I'm gonna do press this. I haven't pressed this yet. I don't know why I took such a big piece. I cannot stop eating these. Not in the slightest. Oh, right. As I said a number of times, I'm an engineer. My job is to manufacture according to the blueprints I'm given. I was making fucking blueprints. Don't we have blueprints? Oh wait, did it take the blueprints? I don't fucking remember. Hey, they took the blueprints. I don't have the blueprints. What the fuck? I would be inviting manifold problems if I foolishly allowed my brain to digest the ideas behind them. I could be accused of stealing those ideas, for example. How is it possible to examine a machine without really understanding the principle it relies on? Well, you're practicing law without really understanding the principle it relies on, aren't you? Very good point. The point is, the experiment resulted in an instantaneous kinesis taking place. As such, the science must be sound. Yes, unreally. Experimental results are all that matters when it comes to proving a hypothesis. Okay, so if I'm not getting this wrong, and yes, I'm taking another one of these crackers because I cannot bloody stop eating these. At least crackers, it's not like a crisp or something, they're just a lot of fat. I eat crisp now and then, whenever I feel for it, whenever I want some. Okay, so it might just be... No idea. Okay, so let's check my... I'm not gonna present, I'm gonna be careful here. I'm gonna try that one. Because that's literally a hole. Objection! Bollock! Better to try than to not try. No other place it can have fallen from. My other point is this one. Because it's like fell to there from there. Which is like kinda from here to there. So could I use this diagram perhaps? Objection! Yeah, I can. Okay. I used the wrong thing. This diagram is the experimentation stage and its surroundings. We know that somehow the birdcage appeared in the mid-air before falling down into the crystal tower. I fall about 30 feet or 9 meters. However, if you examine the diagram carefully, you see there's one other possible location from which the birdcage could have fallen. The same distance of 30 feet. No. Well, it appears that the defense has a possible explanation put forward. Go ahead, counsel. Alright. Let's go! I am streaming. I was like, am I streaming? Because there is literally one person here. Hold on. Yeah, I know.
Take that!
There. The place I'm referring to is here. I'm glad it doesn't have a specific point, because it would be hellish to find. But that's where the birdcage would have been to begin with. Which is exactly the point, my lord. Yes, the birdcage was in the machine on the stage. But what we must also consider is the height of the stage itself. Go on, Council. It turns out the experimentation stage was built at a considerable height above ground level. If you look at the diagram, in fact, you see it's about the same height above ground as the balloon was above the crash site. When the experimentation got underway, the machine and the birdcage were engulfed in steam. And at that moment, the floor on the stage gave way, and if we assume there was a void underneath, this birdcage and the one seen by the audience would have fallen almost exactly the same distance. 2 bird cages! Because they don't need a twin, they just need someone or something. This point, but all the facts were that they're not 1 bird cage but 2.
Objection!
My learned friend has no evidence that the stage has such contrast in its design. Someone is responsible for a criminal destructive of the kinesis machine itself, it's true. However, the stage still stands. I'm taking a moment to look at a photographic print of the scene following yesterday's explosion. I thought I need to actually show this, but apparently not. Good lord, the metal grill that formed the floor of the machine is undone. Yes, most likely blown open by the force of explosion that destroyed the rest of the machine. The defense called for the space below the stage to be investigated immediately. Mr. Drebber, it was you who built the kinesis machine, which means that it was you who built the 2 bird cages that were used to carry out this deception. Whether Professor Harebrain's hypothesis is sound or not makes no difference, because it's the construction of this machine that matters, a machine designed to take Mr. Aspen's life. And lay the blame firmly on the Professor's door. Something that could only have been carried out by you. Okay?
Objection!
Alright. If my learned friend has reached the end of his wild assertions, the prosecution would like to crush the defense argument slowly, but surely. What? Your argument fails to hold water on 2 accounts. 2. Firstly, before and after the experiment, this witness went nowhere near the kinesis machine. Every relevant member of the staff from the exhibition has attended to that. And I believe the members of Scotland Yard have also been on watch duty at a very public experiment. In other words, Mr. Drebber had no opportunity to switch the alleged pair of bird cages.
Objection!
I've already explained why he wouldn't have needed to. The nonsense with the crossbow that does bolster your case at all. The man that disappeared from the stage and the man who crashed into the tower are one and the same. The forensic investigation team's report is unequivocal on that point. And the second flaw in your assertion is a distinct lack of motive. Why would this man have been taking the victim's life? He had no reason to do so. That's true, we don't really know the reason. I have here a contract provided by the witness. What contract is this, Lord Van Six? The contracts into which Mr. Drebber entered with the victim, Mr. Asp. It reads, Mr. Drebber is to receive 30% of all remunerations, Jesus, from government grants or other income. 30%? Certainly very favorable contract conditions. But there was one very important provision bolted into that clause. What provision? Mr. Drebber may only uphold this right on condition that both contracting parties are alive. In other words, if either of us were to die, the contract become null and void. You see, I had nothing to gain from Mr. Asman's death. The diametric opposite, in fact. Okay. Need I say more? The witness had neither an opportunity nor a reason to commit the alleged crime. In short, the possibility of Mr. Drebber having done as you suggest is nil. It seems the defense assertion was somewhat wide of the mark. Lord Van Six, you will submit the contract as evidence, please. Please. I was like, kind of good eating these because I feel like my throat is not as sore whenever I eat this. You're kind of good. Don't worry about that. Hold on, I'm gonna check this. I'm gonna check this. Hold on. Hereby into contract with provider, Mr. Anno Typer label and materials for the construction of a super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine. Mr. Drebber is to receive 30% of all renovations income. Grant more. Mr. Drebber may only uphold this right on one condition, that both parties are alive. Okay. If Drebber had no opportunity to switch the bird cages in the stage Crystal Tower, he would not done it. And in any case, I have no idea what his motive might have been.
There's one aspect of your argument that still holds true, however. There were 2 bird cages. The prosecution is unable to deny that. So I'm sure you're on the right lines, Miss Naruto. And no doubt that there's other aspects of your assertion that are undeniable truth too.
Well, it would seem that the defense has no rejoinder to offer. Well, I must say I'm a little surprised. I came here to testify about the machine I built. Instead, my reputation is defiled. But the prosecution's counter has set the record straight. I think it's impossible that I'm the culprit.
Objection!
At the beginning of this trial, we believed that there was only one birdcage. Yet now we know there must have been two. In other words, there was more to the demonstration that were realized at first than we realized at first. I think it's abundantly clear that the same applies to the culprit. Get to the point. The stage demonstration was constructed and set up it's entirely by you, Mr. Drebber. Therefore, it's inconceivable that you had no hand in the event that passed. What did I say? Transpired. I don't know why that was difficult to read. So if circumstances meant it's impossible that you could have carried out the crime yourself, it's point of fact that someone else was involved. Someone else? Counsel, are you suggesting? Yes, my lord. Mr. Drebber had an accomplice.
Objection!
An accomplice now. Well, then I presume you're prepared for what to come. No, I don't know why I like to sit here. I don't know if you can see that. I sit with my arm like this sometimes when I read. I don't know why. Now that you're accusing not only this witness, but someone else of the most serious of crimes. If these accusations turn out to be false, then make no mistake. The prosecution will demand an equally serious punishment for your slander. Wait, isn't this my first case in a long time now? Well, counsel, do you intend to pursue this cause and formally accuse another party of involvement in this matter? I guess it's a yes with thought of us actually doing it. Name the accomplice. Accomplice? Wait, what the fuck? There was an accomplice. No. Don't know why. The defense is ready to name Mr. Drebber's accomplice. Somehow the two burglars must have been switched. Everything points to that. Yet according to the coroner's report, that's not a possibility. But that inconsistency itself is a clue. Wait, the coroner herself? Counsel? My lord? You have received a stark warning already. If you are nevertheless determined, then I must now ask you to identify this alleged accomplice by name. I am gonna fuck this over. So, you answer, please. Who claim you have been with Mr. Drebber's accomplice? Fuck it.
Take that!
The name of the person in question is... Naming her in this capability is definitely going to make waves. A lot of waves. I could very well turn every single person in this courtroom against me. I'm sure this will be alright now, Rudo. Thank you, Mrs. Sato.
The enemy always appears larger than life. But you always appear exactly the same to the enemy.
Alright then. Here goes. You kept us waiting long enough. Your answer, counsel. Now. The person who colluded Mr. Drebber in order to carry out this wicked crime is Scotland Yard's coroner, Dr. Courtney Scythe. What the blazes are you talking about? Dr. Scythe? The head of the forensic investigation team, and the coroner who conducted the autopsy of the victim. We know there were two bird cages, So who could have carried out the switch to complete the illusion? The accident happened in front of a huge crowd of spectators and the area was immediately sealed off. Then everyone, police officers included, were banished to make way for the forensic investigation team. When else could this switch have occurred? It can only have been in that team's presence. It's essential that the court determines exactly what happened followed in the incident. The defense claims that Dr. Scythe be summoned to the witness stand at once to testify. Standing up here, dragging the yard's name through the mud. I didn't mean to. I know the woman very well, very well. There's no better dead room worker out there. How dare you call her a criminal? My learned friend's imagination appears to be wilder than the East End at night. But the recklessness of your accusation aside, there's another grave problem in your argument. One which the prosecution demands you to address at once. A grave problem? On my word. Who do you claim acted as the victim's doppelganger? What? Certainly, if the birdcage contained the body of the victim, was it changed for another? The cage must also have contained a body. And yet, no missing person or accidental death of anyone even remotely resembling the victim have been reported. Which means there was no one, dead or alive, who could have fulfilled the role of a body double for Mr. Asp. Here we have evidence. Very well. The defense will address my learned friend's concern by presenting evidence that reveals the true nature of Mr. Asman's body double. Good gracious, evidence? I do hope this isn't filibustering, counsel. The court is expecting a name. If you think you have relevant evidence, present it now. The body double of the birdcage were hiding inside the balloon that was floating above the stage, which means that that any witness could only have seen them from 60 feet away. So who was it that appeared out of the explosion some 18 meters above the spectators? The body double inside the birdcage was
Take that!
this. We know that the victim, Mr. Asma, was in the birdcage that was situated inside the kinesis machine on stage. And therefore it couldn't have been inside the second birdcage. Instead, that contained something else. Was been described as a body double, which is what fell from the sky and crashed into Crystal Tower. Yes, counsel, according to your somewhat elaborate version of events. And that body double inside the second birdcage was in fact...
It's alright, Miss Naruto. You're ready for this. Just steel yourself and come out with it.
Yeah, I needed that. As I was saying, the body double inside the second birdcage was, an undeniable as it may seem, that thing there. Why do we have that thing in here already? Where did that come from? We had the head. Where did the rest of the body come from?
Objection!
Open your eyes and look into mine, my Nipponese friend. Now tell me, what are you playing at? As the court will observe, this is a waxwork model. Wetfish! A model, in fact, of a famous London murderer from 10 years ago, the Professor.
Objection!
You started by indicating the leader of the forensic team as an accomplice in the crime, this crime. And now you move on indicating waxworks. Jesus. Yes, that's about the size of it. But why? And why this waxwork? It is nothing like. It looks nothing like the victim. In fact, it hardly resemble him less. What possible justification can you give? If you want to know why, ask Mr. Drebber. What? Just days before Professor Harebrain's performance, his public demonstration, Mr. Drebber abducted this model from Madame Tuspel's. Did you say abducted? And 2 days after the incident at the Great Exhibition, he returned in the museum. Then the time. This is true, Mr. Drebber. Well, he did actually have the head. We found it in there. At first, I couldn't see why Mr. Drebber would have stolen the waxwork and then given it back. But now the reason is clear. He took it so he could put it inside the second birdcage as a body double for Miss Asman.
Objection!
Are you hearing this, ladies and gentlemen of the jury? Are you hearing the defense's astonishing proposal? That the witness fabricated this vast machine with the intention of deceiving some wretched scientist. That he did so in conclusion with the country's finest coroner. And that, to effect this deception, he used a waxwork model that in no way resembles the victim. Are we really to believe this far-fetched tale? What do you decide?
Objection!
Wait. Yes, if you put it like that, of course it sounds implausible. I need to speak, if you please. Go ahead, Mr. Foreman. Myself and my colleagues have reached an argument. Very good, in that case. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will state your learnings for the court to hear now.
Guilty!
Guilty.
Guilty! Guilty!
Guilty.
Jesus.
Kill me!
Okay. We're gonna try and fix this now. Great. So as indicated by the foreman, the jury has reached a consensus. Yeah.
We shall get through this, Miss Naruto. We always do. And uncover some new truth along the way, I'm quite sure.
Yes, I agree. I'm going to have to appeal to the jurors as usual and see if I can pursue them to change their minds. The defense will now remark on a summation examination. Are you ready? Your fellows ready to proceed, Mr. Foreman? We are, my lord. Very well. In that case, I ask you to state it clearly and present all you hear. The grounds on which each of you have decided the defense is guilty of the crime which he is charged. I know that woman for years. Never been an accomplice to anything. This is utter nonsense. To think they would have been conniving with one another.
Oh dear, this is most troubling. But surely the waxwork the man stole has nothing to do with the coroner, is it?
I've had my hands I had my own problems with the members of the police. I do not trust them much. I see no rigorous proof that this wax was never ever inside the birdcage. In conjecture.
Accusing someone without the right evidence is not a proper job, is it? I want to have it.
I do love this story with the police. Somewhat unsurprisingly, it seems that the introduction of the waxwork model proceeding has a polarized opinion. Given the fact that its face is obscured and its build in no way resembles that of the victim, I can only applaud my learned friend's temerity at suggesting it as Mr. Asman's body double. Yes, the applause is deafening, and yes, I know it's extraordinary. But that's the point. That's why I have the strong feeling it's actually a greater clue than anyone yet realized.
What are you thinking, Miss Naruto?
I can't explain why at the moment, but I feel as though there's a specific reason why it was used. Why it had to be this model.
Really? A reason? Why nothing else would do, you mean?
Yes, and I'm convinced that it's something far more significant than whether or not the model looked like the victim.
Well, if that's the case, we must prevent the trial from ending permanently at all costs.
Yes, agreed. If you're ready, Counsel, you may proceed with the summation examination. Okay, so this doesn't matter because this is very straightforward. He's known the woman for years, she's not accomplice of anything. So that's kind of straight. It's utter nonsense to think that those two would ever be conniving with one another. Who two do you mean? That's the question. We're only just starting to understand this case. What are you reading there, sir? Well, the man behind those murders on Solar Pond Street was caught in 2 days flat. That's a real policing for you. That's really not relevant to this case, is it? You're wrong there. Because it was not Forsyth in charge of examining the bodies. And it was evidence arising from her work that led to the arrest of the scoundrel responsible. Did that even pop up? Hi, Turtle Girl! Wait, did that pop up? Why the fuck didn't I hear it? Is the game so loud for me I couldn't hear it or something? What the fuck? Or wait. Hold on, I'm gonna try something just for fun here. Because I need to check something.
Hello there.
I must have just been speaking while I heard that, because I can hear that one. I can hear that one. I must have just been speaking, but hi Turtle Girl, welcome to the stream. We're just trying to figure out how to mesmerize the jury again, because they're against us just because we brought in a waxwork model. Kinda. I just saw it pop up there and then I saw hi, so it was just like, I didn't hear anything. Well, that's right. Oh, that woman is the forefront of this country's fight against the crime. So I'm doing voices, drinking a lot because sore throat. Because of voices, trust me, it's nothing else. Also, I'm eating crackers. I'm not joking, I bought 3 packs of these. They are tuck crackers, with the taste of sour cream and onion. And I'm gonna be honest, I absolutely love these, so I cannot really stop myself from eating them. Oh, so they're a bit pissed at me right now because I am telling them that the coroner, Miss Scythe, is actually the one that is an accomplice as well. So that's fun. We don't know.
Hold it!
Why would you assume that?
Well, quite simply because that unsettling swindler has no relationship with the woman, does he?
True. As it stands, we don't know of any connection.
Oh gosh, but it would be delightful romantic if they were somehow to have a mutual interest in the waxwork.
Romantic. Kind of mostly just horrifying, all of those I've seen.
A woman of society as myself view everything in terms of relationships, you know.
Well, you learn something new every day, if you don't want to.
One might wonder about possible relationships between the defendant and this coroner woman. Or perhaps between the defendant and the handsome prosecutor just over there.
I would say it's a kind of a hate relationship. Just hate. Nothing more than hate. Pure hate.
Then perhaps demonstrating some connections between the waxwork and Dr. Scythe would be enough.
Yes, I agree. As soon as we have even a whiff of connection, she'll be the first to know. Okay, so we need to find a connection. Then we can check. I'm gonna try and not eat all of my tucks.
Hold it!
Okay. What are the problems? Let's just say that we have run into each other on numerous occasions while I'm performing on the streets. Right, I see. Obviously, artists such as myself cannot appear on stage as we work in close proximity to our audience. So we perform our great magic in parks, on streets, corners, and the like. But the police use any excuse to make our lives difficult. Oh, hello.
Excuse me!
Oh, Jesus, I hope that thing is not loaded. Do you have something to say in response to that, Mr. Ottermole? You're calling a mass murderer. I didn't call anyone a mass murderer. Sorry, my mistake. I got confused because I heard you look like him. I do not look anything like the man. Wanna be plucked up, sonny? All right, I remember now. He kinda looked like the person in the waxwork place. I know why I'm pointing that way. Technically, I think that is actually towards England. I think. I'm pretty certain, kinda. I don't know, actually. I'm confused. I was really wondering if you had something you wanted to add in response to the juror number 3 just said. And also, welcome, humble viewer, to the stream I'm holding here in our little kingdom in the corner of Twitch. Grab yourself something to drink and some little snacks. I myself have a tux. And I do hope you enjoy the stream. Oh, it is warmer. I should have opened a window. Back in my days, back in the good old days, it wasn't like this. What was it like, sir? We worked out our fingers to the bone to earn the public's trust with it. And by Jove, we earned it. People respect us back then. Respected you? No, we never call a coroner into question in them days. A coroner's report is what the hallmarks are an investigation done right. Especially when Dr. Courtney Stevens put her name to it. She was the best of the best. Yeah, that was Courtney Stevens. We don't have Courtney Stevens, we have Dr. Scythe. What are you talking about? Who's Courtney Stevens? Sorry, I got a bit carried away there. Stevens is Dr. Scythe's maiden name. Oh, her maiden name? So that was before she was married. Oh, yeah, silly me. It's Scythe now, isn't it? Stevens. I'm sure I've seen that name somewhere recently. Wait, have? Stevens, hold on. I mean, they're wrong. Whoa! Wait, what is this for something? Killer's autopsy report. The autopsy report of the mass murder known as the Professor was tried and found guilty by closed trial 10 years ago. Yeah, Corny Stevens. Okay, we found it in here. It's the same one as Dr. Scythe. Anyway, the point is, those were the great days of policing. I don't know how to pronounce that actually. Not like now. Sorry to interrupt, sir. But do you think you could change your statement to include that name? Well, yes. I do not see why not. Okay, it doesn't make sense right now. So I'm gonna keep on going. Stevens. Oh, also, I managed to figure something out in the beginning of the stream. I tried to find a pun or something by Enoch Drebber, and I couldn't find anything. So I actually searched up the name, and it's actually a character that got murdered in the first case of Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. I just found that out by searching it up. So that's why there is not really any pun to his name, because this is actually a name in Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. I just wanted more or less add that there. Okay, let's press. But you claim the whole... Wait, hold on, I'm gonna check some more stuff here. Young scientist, but I don't think it took a... There wasn't a name on this, right? Sorry, I managed to skip this. Fostering. Oh, okay. I thought it was like forensic. I was like, okay. That was interesting, but I read it wrong. So, the only thing we know of Stevens is 10 years ago from the doctor's autopsy. And the doctor is this guy, which is actually in the middle of this courtroom as a wax model. And the coffin, actually. Nothing interesting there. Well, but you claimed the whole instantaneous kinesis demonstration was a trick. Oh. Well, I did. But there's more than one way to pull a rabbit out of the hat, isn't there? Sorry? I grant you, given that this cage appears from amidst an explosion, there had been no need to use a real person. Whether a waxwork model has been used, the culprit could at least have had the decency to make it look like the victim. I'm not sure exactly how much criminals are governed by decency. The point is, if you're going to make a claim about that waxwork being inside the birdcage, you need to give us some evidence. Without that, it's not just science. That's the thing, we don't have anything for doing it if they were in the bird cage. But we know they were at the Crystal Tower because this was found inside the waxwork model's clothing. I suppose we should accept nothing less than a logical argument from a fellow of the Royal Society. But that perhaps means his mind could be changed if we manage to present suitable evidence. I have evidence. Well, not that it was inside a cage, but I have it that it was there. Oh, I must warn you that I firmly believe it's only wise to trust men with white coats. Like given you a jet black outfit, I don't mind admitting to a sense of trepidation here. So you don't trust anyone in black, and technically it's marine blue, right? I think it must be a marine blue.
Take that!
Oh, it works. What's that? A piece of glass? Oh, it's unusually thick for glass. Yes, it's a piece of broken glass that we found inside the jacket of the waxwork. As you say, it's not ordinary glass though. It's very thick and clearly made for extra strength. Much like the special glass that was developed for the construction of the Crystal Tower.
The crystal. Oh, holy smokes!
Exactly. Oh, sorry, I thought something popped up. The centerpiece of the great exhibition where the very incident we're talking about took place. On the day in question, the birdcage fell from above and smashed through the window of that special glass.
From Hampton with this small piece of originator, is that it?
Precisely. So, what do you say? Now that the clear evidence in support of the assertion has been placed before you.
Well, as I said, I don't trust men in white coats as a rule, however. With the reasoning sound, it's fair to say color shouldn't come into it.
And as a rule, that's a statement people should live by.
In light of what you show me here, yes, I feel obliged to change my position on the matter. In that case, juror number 4, you will amend your statement now, please.
Okay, so I still need to pit them against each other. I've got to ask, why you brought that corn into courtroom with you?
Call him a cob. He's been growing back in the farm. Been him off on me when we went into town. It's a proper nibble, is it?
Speaking of nibble, cake, cracker. There we go. Yes, the nibbling seems to be taking quite a while. Maybe it shouldn't wait until after the trial.
Oh, I don't like the sound of that. Doesn't call us at all times like these. Whenever I saw some of the big to decide, the colors always point me in the right direction, see?
You're talking about your cup of corn. That's a magic ass corn. You can't stop that now. I kinda get it. I get it.
Perhaps it's aching to fortune telling with flower petals like people do back home.
Professor Harebrain's fate is to be decided by a cup of corn. Brilliant. Could you not at least wait until we had more time to find the truth before deciding on the defendant's guilt?
Oh, I don't know about that. You turned me awfully full already.
Amazing. Amazing. Fucking hell. But for some reason, just saying that just to think me of like a corn maze, that's all. I think that's the reason. On the other hand, it explains a lot. Well, I don't have a rice cracker, but I do have a cracker. That was kind of scary. Okay. Okay, so now we don't have any evidence or any changings. So now we have to pit them against each other. So she was Courtney Stevens back when I knew of her. Was a legendary coroner, even then. The other nonsense to think that those two would ever be conniving with one another. So technically, it's just saying that the coroner is a great coroner, and the other guy is the other guy. The most troubling, but surely the waxwork man the man stole is nothing to do with the coroner, is it? Well, technically it is, because the waxwork model is made to look like the professor. And the autopsy of the professor... Whoop. That was technically... Okay, hold on, I'm gonna... So here's my train of thought. So... This is the professor. So that's the waxwork of the professor. The professor autopsy was made by Courtney Stevens, which is the coroner that we have now. Okay, I move. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna do this first. As I've said before, I don't trust myself. It might sound logical in a sense, but the question is that this puzzle needs to go 1, 2, 3, not 3, 3, 1, 2. I need to do them in order, so I might do the wrong order.
Objection.
Might work. Those two statements clearly contradict each other.
Good gracious. To whose statement do you refer, counsel?
So, juror number 2.
Oh, gosh, me. What can I do for you?
I presume that you heard that the juror number 6 said in his statement. It brought to light the maiden name of the coroner, Dr. Scythe, which in turn had revealed a connection that wasn't appeared before.
Well, naturally, as a woman of society, I find such connections and relationships irresistible. But oh golly, I'm afraid to fail to see what you mean.
Dr. Scythe's maiden name is Stevens. And through that name, the coroner is very definitely linked to the waxwork of the killer. The defense has evidence to prove it.
My goodness, evidence you say? How utterly thrilling.
Counsel, the court cannot overlook the last remark. I very much hope there is substance to your claim.
Of course, my lord. Yeah, it's exactly the evidence I was talking about. So it's this one.
Take that!
I have here a certain autopsy report from 10 years ago.
A 10-year-old autopsy report. What relevance does that have?
It's of course from the autopsy of the person portrayed in the waxwork, the killer known as the professor. I think he flinched.
The professor? But the man was a capital offender, so...
That's right. This is the certification of death that was drawn up after the convict's execution. The identity of the killer was never made public, so the reports given few details. But what's important is the name of the coroner who wrote it. Courtney Stevens.
Oh my, Courtney Stevens.
Sroikalite?
What, you want to smoke or something? It appears that the professor's autopsy was conducted by Dr. Scythe 10 years ago. Sorry, my mouse just popped in the corner. I was like, what the fuck was that? It appears that the professor's autopsy was conducted by Dr. Scythe 10 years ago. And a few days ago, Mr. Drebber very deliberately stole the waxwork of the professor from Madame Tuspel's. A waxwork that doesn't in fact resemble the victim, Mr. Asman, at all.
And do you suppose there's some unsavory relationship between those events?
Absolutely, I'm sure of it. There's no doubt in my mind that the professor case is at the heart of a link that have yet to be uncovered. Between Dr. Courtney Scythe and Dr. Enoch Drebber. It's a bit strange for me, I've said it before in the stream, but it's strange for me to say Enoch Drebber, because it's technically for me 2 Swedish words. One is just E and N, which is N, which means one, and then O-C-H, which is and. So to say Enoch is like Enoch.
Hidden link, mysterious connections, secret relationships. This is almost extraordinary. We're surely obliged to know now to explore this further.
What about you, Mr. Policeman? I still need your...
Quite right. We can't let this trial come to an end now. While there's this cloud of suspicion hanging over the yard's best coroner. It was like this in my days, but they're still here to uphold justice in the end.
Okay, so now we have 2 of these. Should I try these 2? Oh, right evidence. Okay, she's asking for right evidence. So if I do her and him,
Objection.
there's literally evidence that was shown to him. Those two statements clearly contradict each other.
Oh, goodness gracious, to whose statement do you refer, counsel?
I do love like he always says that statement does not uphold. And he never says like juror number 2 or juror number 5. It's just like those. They're like whose? There's like 5 people there, 6 perhaps. I stopped counting.
Oh, you mean me?
You pointed out that it's wrong to make accusation without evidence. But the accusation that the waxwork model was inside the second bird cage on the day in question is not without supporting evidence. As the defense demonstrated to the juror sitting beside you.
Oh, was that right?
Would it be fair to say you didn't follow the argument?
I don't understand much beside Colonel Cup, to be honest.
Okay.
Oh, if I could interject here.
Yes, please do, sir.
Now that this assertion of yours above the waxwork has been backed up by some solid evidence, it would be wrong of me, as a man of science, not to pursue the matter further.
I just need one more. And it has to be the girl.
Oh well, me too then.
Sorry.
If this brainy gentleman says he is right, it must be. See, I wouldn't dream of going against Colin Cubber and him, or anyone who's got stuff in between their ears.
Okay, so you like corn and brainy people. Got it. Makes kind of sense. Well, we managed.
Thank you, counsel. That will do. As a result of the summation examination, the jury's overall learning has changed. 2 jurors now call guilty, against 4 who call not guilty. Accordingly, the court has failed to reach a consensus as this time. And trial must continue.
Yep, we did. Hallelujah. Fuck, I should probably make that as a GIF for something. I have one GIF I might try and make for when people subscribe, but I thought of one just as a goddamn joke, and I might make that just for fun. I'm gonna see how that's gonna be. Just because I saw something on YouTube, I thought like, why the fuck not? Because I look so ridiculous.
If I must say, it's extremely hard to believe the assertion could possibly be true. However, it appears that it doesn't at least warrant further investigation.
It's the waxworks of the professor that links Mr. Drebber. Fuck, each time I think about that goddamn face, it's like giving me a smile because I just want to chuckle. And I'm convinced that there is a special significance to that link.
I don't know whether you're hoping to prove that, or I don't.
The truth is, sir, by using evidence and testimony.
If the core is to delve deeper in the alleged involvement of the waxwork in this case, then the prosecution calls for the owner of the model to be summoned as a witness. Oh, nice.
But the owner?
Madame Tuspens. I really thought that Lord Van Seat would object to this whole line of it. Okay. Don't know why, for sure. Oh, you might have the key! She might actually unlock the face.
I made an arrangement for Madame Tuspels to appear as a witness with immediate effect.
Also, I kind of like eating the crackers because I feel it's good for my throat, it feels like. Listen carefully, my learned friend. You should know that you are on the brink of opening Pandora's box.
Yikes.
Does that mean there is some hope? Is there some hope? That's kind of funny because people always say like Pandora's box because it just has misfortune in it, but it did actually also have some hope. So it's kind of fun. It's like, are they talking about the hope or are they talking about the bad luck? Because I am more or less rooting for the hope. Oh heck yes! I don't need to lose all my whatever they're called stars. That's good. Oh, the knight errant himself. Oh, have you been watching from the gallery, Mr. Sholmes? I've been on the edge of my seat the entire time. Courtroom trials are fascinating affairs. As a spectator, at least. I'm glad you've been enjoying it yourself. Right, I have to ask. What on earth is going on? It makes no sense. What's this professor business about? It doesn't look like any professor I've ever met before. Where even is he? Of course. He is a waxwork model. You were in Germany already 10 years ago. Ah, yes, the professor. When I discovered he was one that had been abducted, a sense of foreboding stirred within me. But I knew that the monster wouldn't be knocking at your door. My heartfelt sympathies. Okay. At least it turns out Lord Van Six is even more intimately tied with this case than any of us realize, isn't he? Yes, how true. His great friend from university in the dock. And now a waxwork model of the killer who took his esteemed brother's life. Make an appearance too. I imagine even the shrewd of Reaper failed to foresee that kick in the teeth. Jesus. An extraordinary move on your part, my dear fella. To throw that in front of the man. Make it sound deliberate. I can't help feeling that this professor case is really very puzzling. Oh yes. In what particular manner? Well, there's Mr. Trebber, Dr. Scythe, and Lord Van Six. It seems that everybody in the trial has a link to the case somehow. Yes, in fact, I'm not a member of the set. Though that leaves me as an empty set, all alone with no intersection to any other. Nope. Who is whispering or talking? Oh! What the hell are you doing in here? I do love the music though. I like her music. I kinda dig her as well, but I do like the music. She's probably gonna bitch slap me for calling her in here. Technically, I was not the one calling her in here, but we did request that she might be an accomplice. So I get the feeling she might just bitch slap me. Ah, Dr. Cordy Scythe. Miss Stevens. Good day to you. Hello, Sholmes. That was very shrewd of you. With a particular prey. You requested that 10-year-old autopsy report from Gregson, didn't you? Why would you assume such a thing? Because Gregson told me. Hi there. I'm waiting to be bitch slapped straight through the window or even the wall. To think it's been 10 years. 10 years in the laboratory, wielding my scalpel. Like, it's kind of like each time I see her as well on the scalpel, it just reminds me of, I believe, her daughter, which kind of just wanted to cut me open. I smell of nothing but corpses and disinfectant. Something might just be stuck up your nose, I guess. A policeman on the jury had a lot to say about you as it happens, Dr. Scythe. and I've accused you of being complicit in what happened. I'm hoping that you'll take the stand and tell the truth about what really happened.
That certainly won't be possible. Lord Van Six won't be summoning me as a witness. Lord Strongheart has forbidden it.
Oh! Well, fuck you then. Lord Strongheart.
The Pandora's box you were warned about is the Professor case. But please don't make the mistake of thinking you will get any information about it out of me. But attempting to hide from the truth, that's cowardice. Coward. You're a coward! I've always fought crime in the way I see fit. I have no regrets. None at all. And that's all I came here to say. So, good day to you.
Oh, well, I'm good for that then. God damn it, you Strongheart. Here I am trying to turn up the truth, and people just say, yeah, that's a bit too close to the truth, just back off a bit. She shouldn't mention it too, the Pandora's box.
Whatever does it mean?
There is really no cause for concern, I assure you. When the trial resumes, the meaning will become all too apparent, whether you like it or not. Huh? Now then, I believe it's almost time. I must make my way back to the public gallery. The edge of my seat awaits.
The edge. He's not sitting on the seat, he's just always sitting on the edge of the seat.
Ah, yes. One word of warning before I go. If in the course of the trial this afternoon you perceive even a shadow of doubt about the truth, don't let it out of your sight. Pursue it like a dog with a bone.
Or a ball.
It's called fetch. Do it to the bitter end, you understand? Do not falter, whatever may come to pass.
Alright, I understand. Thank you. Good. I shall make myself scarce then. I purchased a bar of caramel earlier, so I'll begin gnawing on it as you gnaw away the truth. I hope you bought that and it's not one of your own caramels that works like a mold. Because I'm pretty certain that's gonna upset your stomach like hell. Okay, so Dr. Scythe is not gonna be in there. It's time for the final chapter then. I'm determined to find the truth. No matter what. I'm gonna nibble on my cracker. I take small nibbles, because it makes it easy to actually do voices in between. So I don't just have like a big ass cracker in my mouth and I was like, oh fuck, here comes a voice. Because there's always gonna be a voice. Oh, he's pointing at me. Hi.
In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby reconvene the proceedings of this court. Counsel of the Defense and Prosecution, are you ready to be able to continue?
The prosecution is ready, my lord. Yes, my lord. The defense is also ready.
As the court is aware, the case is under our scrutiny began with a damaging incident at the Great Exhibition. Yet now we found ourselves embroiled in a detail of a convicted felon who was sent to the gallows a decade ago. This trial certainly defied all expectations.
I don't know, sometimes me and pronunciations are so bad. As it seems to be the fate of all trial in which this Nipponese is involved, my lord.
So then, let us begin our exploration of the defense assertion that the Waxwork was cardinally involved in the matter. Lord Van Six.
My lord.
Are we still awaiting the arrival of Madame Tussmels?
Not at all. She's in the antechamber as we speak and ready to be summoned.
Very well. Bring in the witness.
At once, my lord.
Oh.
It's a bit odd though that Madame Tuspel is gonna be in here. If Jabber is responsible, as I am sure he is, it means he must have had an accomplice, Dr. Scythe.
And what connects the pair of them is the waxwork.
Yes, the model of the professor. Because the thing is right now that we don't have a way of actually checking his face. If there even is a face inside here, because there is like a lock. There is this. But like, I don't know if there is a face or if it's just like a fake face in here. It's a tenuous link, admittedly, but at the present, it's all we have to go on. I was trying to see whose face that was. State your name and occupation for the court, please. Who is that? I'm trying to recognize it, but I don't know.
My name is Madame Esmeralda Tuspel. I'm a waxwork artisan. And the proprietress of the Madame Tuspel's Museum of Waxwork. You will have to pardon me for working as I testify. My new exhibit must be open very soon.
Oh, it's Sholmes. I see him so often with a hat, I couldn't get his face. But it's Sholmes.
Oh my, what expression is she's carving into that face?
A number of days ago, a particular waxwork model was stolen from your museum. Can you confirm this? Yeah, I can see it now. It's Sholmes. I didn't see it before because it's always covering his hair with a hat. But now I can actually see it.
Oui, it's true. At first, we believed it had been kidnapped.
I worked for a model. Kidnapped.
Yes, my lord. There was a demand for some ransom money left behind by the culprit. However, according to what I have just been told outside the courtroom, that was not the true reason. I understand that it was utilized as a substitute for the body of a murder victim.
At present, there is no more than conjecture proposed by the defense. This is the victim of the case in question, Mr. Odi Asman.
But of course, I know him well. He's a part of my odious personage exhibit. I just to say that what is evident, but Mr. Atman does not resemble the professor at all.
Yes, but perhaps? Perhaps their faces are similar.
Are you suggesting that we should see now the masked visage of the professor? I have here the key, but it's strictly forbidden to open the lock.
This is absurd.
Pardon? Pardon?
I don't know what face you've carved into your fancy figure beneath that mask. But clearly, it won't be that of the actual killer. Indeed. The man's identity was never made public after all. The trial took place in the closed court. The proceedings were strictly confidential. The condemned man was summarily executed. His identity remains a closely guarded national secret. There is no possible way that the repository of Thawardry exhibits could get his hands on that information.
Well, dommage. It would seem that you are unaware of the Tuspel's principles.
What principles?
The family Tuspels has always prided itself on sculpting its models a la perfection. Every detail, including the visage, is fashioned with complete fidelity. Et voila, are principles. There's a well-known legend about Tuspel's waxwork from the time of French Revolution. A member of the Tuspel family is said to have made a waxwork of the queen who was executed. Oui, that is true. It was a century ago now. I believe the queen's face was carved in the minute following her death, actually at a guillotine site. You are correct. The model is on display still today in the House of Horrors. With Tuspels will stop at nothing to obtain faithful replica of our subject.
Oh dear me, a somewhat disturbing tendency of purpose.
It is the only way to obtain truly lifelike representation of the subject. And it has been in my family's secret for generations.
Do you mean to say that beneath that mask?
Oui, the true visage of the killer is there.
But this is ludicrous. It's out of the question.
The professor spread terror through Great Britain. As a result, the Madame Tuspel special exhibit remains extremely popular even today. The killer, emerging from its own grave. It's a sight to behold. You should come.
Well, I don't know if he likes stuff like that.
I think, madam, it would be beneficial to hear your formal testimony on this matter. You will explain every detail in this macabre model and your personal involvement in its creation.
Why not just use the bloody key then? Why go in the length of like, why did you make this? How did you make this? Just open the freaking mask thing.
The special exhibit in the House of Horrors is based on a rumor that shocked society in London. An impression of the visage was taken directly from the corpse in accordance with Tuspel's family principles. I enlisted the aid of the gravedigger and created a mold for the head in the cemetery just before the interment. I hid myself until he gave me a signal. I was there for a very long time at night. As dawn approached, I was very worried that I could be discovered.
Yikes.
The gravedigger, the man sanctioned this.
Oui. I will do all that is necessary to achieve the true resemblance of my family is celebrated for. Nobody else knew. Only the gravedigger. What harm did it do?
So you truly saw it. The face of that monster.
Naturally. I was aware at the time that his identity was a secret. But Tuspel wouldn't be Tuspel if we did not insist on absolute fidelity to our sculptures.
I don't believe this.
I myself have seen special exhibit at your museum, madam. A truly blood-curdling scene in which the murderer is emerging from his own grave.
The scene depicted was the subject of many rumors in London 10 years ago. I have here a newspaper from the time. The special exhibit was based upon the picture in this article. It was the most detailed account of what happened, as reported by the eyewitness who saw it.
We already know the eyewitness. Man rises from the grave. It's too absurd for words.
The public enjoy absurdity, monsieur. That is why I have reproduced the scene as carefully as possible in my museum.
And it's a waxwork from the exhibit that was stolen some days before the incident at the Great Exhibition, wasn't it?
That's correct. The professor you see before you there.
Most puzzling. Counsel of the defense, proceed with a cross-examination.
We also know another way this links because he actually used to be the gravedigger. Because yes, he was the one that stole the waxwork model, but he actually was there. So that's interesting. It's getting a bit warm in here. How warm is it? It's 26 degrees in here. I have a bowl here, so it's like covering my little thing.
The special exhibit in the house.
Oh, well, we don't need to read it like that. I forgot.
Hold it!
Press. And that rumor would be
A 10-year-old tale now. But none that Londoner would ever forget.
Alright, it's just what you talk about, I think.
Of course, it wouldn't be anything else.
ah yes, that story will never disappear.
A tale of the condemned killer rising from the dead. That is the central attraction of the House of Horror.
Also, welcome, humble viewer, to the stream I'm holding here in our little kingdom in the corner of Twitch. Sorry, I'm eating a cracker. So yeah, do grab yourself some snack. I myself a cracker and something to drink, and I do hope you enjoy the stream.
The rumor was whispered all over the city, and it was like this. It was in a Lowgate cemetery behind the prison. In the dead of night after the execution of the killer,
Oh, sorry, hiccup.
the interred professor slid back the stone slab covering his tomb and emerged from his grave. A young man who witnessed this felt a scream welling up inside him. But an instant later, he heard an ear-splitting gunshot from over his shoulder. The bullet struck the emerging corpse, and he fell motionless once more. The scream finally found its way from the mouth of the young witness, who turned and ran for his life.
The corpse climbed out of his own grave.
And then somebody shot him. Who was it? Nobody knows. Knows even today. But remember, it's just a rumor. Perhaps nothing more than a ghost story. The people of London, they love stories like this. That is why it was in every newspaper across the capital.
But that was just a story. I mean, this is exactly the same scene that seen today at your museum, isn't it?
Oui, the special exhibit was modeled on that very illustration. For a while afterwards, the content of that article were reproduced in every newspaper imaginable. Madame, might I say something? Please go ahead, mademoiselle. When something is described as a rumor, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's entirely made up. I believe that often rumors contain elements of the truth. Ah, I see people from the East can just be as astute as the people of Europe. Can we be sure, for instance, that the professor's execution was successful? It is not possible for the dead to come back to life.
Sorry?
10 years ago, I was there in Lowgate Cemetery. After the criminal known as the Professor was killed by hanging, I took a wax impression of his visage from the corpse just before he was interred. So I can assure you, the man was dead.
I see.
I would certainly appear that a condemned man suffered a intended fate.
That was a long press. Jesus.
Hold it!
Is that true of every waxwork in your museum then?
It is, assuming the subject is dead, of course. Live subjects have to cooperate in a similar way. I have a letter from imprisoned criminals all the time, you know.
What sort of letters?
When my time comes, please make a waxwork of me.
No.
My museum is famous, monsieur. To be made into a waxwork is an honor, and for some criminals, a symbol of status even.
Fair point, actually. That is actually bloody fair.
And it's this thanks to the one killer in particular that my museum has gained such popularity in London. I refer to the star of the special exhibit, of course, the professor.
Whose form you claim to have captured by taking an impression from the actual corpse.
There are no exceptions to the principles of Tuspels.
Hold it!
Surely that's illegal, isn't it? It would seem the property... Hold on. Proprietress of this repository of novelists was blinded by monetary greed. And also, welcome, humble viewer, to the stream I'm holding here in our little kingdom in the corner of Twitch. Grab yourself some snack and grab yourself something to drink, and I do hope you enjoy the stream. I'm about to say the show. I don't know why I want to say the show. The stream. Jesus.
The man is a part of London's criminal history. That is why I had to sculpt him, to record this history. It is the reason of the Tuspels Museum.
I don't know how to actually pronounce that. To be honest, I don't know how to pronounce a lot of these. But if the man was convicted in a closed court and sent for immediate execution, then surely nobody but the members of the judiciary presented knows the killer's true identity.
I assure you, behind that mask is hidden the true face of the professor.
Do you realize what you're saying? The professor's identity is a national secret.
I understand. And now that the truth is about the special exhibit has been revealed, it must perhaps close.
Of course it will, as your entire museum if you don't tread very carefully, madam.
That could be another interesting chapter in the history of my family, I think. Don't you?
So 10 years ago, on the night of Professor's execution, you took a wax impression of his face from the corpse.
Oui, exactamente.
Okay. I want like the gravedigger to pop up because we know who the gravedigger is. You were there longer than you expected to be. Oh, hold on. A hair almost in my eye.
I had some difficulties in capturing the subject's form correctly. As I removed the mask, the mouth of the cadaver fell open. I had some problems with the chin.
Yikes, I dare ask.
The man has been dead for a short while already, you see. His muscles were relaxing, and consequently his chin would not align itself correctly.
Just because of that, it just reminds me of like horror movies. When they die like an unnatural death and you just see the jaw being like doubly wide open and like to one side. I don't remember what movie I've seen that in, but there's pretty many of them.
Oh dear, what a terrible thought, horrible thought. I understand that normal circumstances that he would have an assistant with me. However, that night I was alone. And as a consequence, I missed my preferred window of time.
What do you mean?
When I take the impressions of the visage of the cadaver, I always wait until 3 hours after death.
Why 3 hours? Is that amount of the time significant?
is because of rigor mortis.
Rigor mortis? Mortis?
It's a name given to a phenomenon that occurs in the recently deceased bodies. As a rule, 3 hours past death, the muscle in the body begin to stiffen. Approximately 10 hours post-death, the entire body is completely rigid and inflexible. And then from that point on, the muscle slowly starts to revert to the relaxed state. The effect is often used to estimate time of death when the body is discovered.
Well, that was an education. If a slightly scary one.
As the mademoiselle says, rigor mortis commences 3 hours after death, and it starts in the jaw.
I see. So that's why you wait.
Before that time, the mouth falls open, and it's very difficult to do my work.
It's getting hard for me to do my work with all this talk of corpses. I wonder about that information the course just heard from me. It's significant, sure thing. Would you mind including it? Just because, why not? Always good.
Of course, I do not mind at all.
I'm kinda glad Enoch is not here. Because my throat hurts much more with him. Was that a joke? I just read grave and like, okay.
Madam, kindly amend your testimony as discussed.
Well, sure.
Hold it!
I'm just gonna press everything. Rigor mortis being the phenomenon you described, whereby the corpse becomes stiff after death. I think you say that it starts in the jaw about 3 hours post-death. Is that right? Sorry, I should have not taken that large bite of my cracker.
Siska,
I should stop pronouncing those. I don't know how to pronounce those.
of course. The exact duration depends a little on the season.
I didn't realize waxwork artisan would be well versed in the subject.
None. That is only elementary knowledge in the field of legal medicine.
Well, I had no idea about it, but maybe I won't admit to my ignorance about forensic science.
I could ask my father to give you a very simple primer if you like.
I think corpses should be your domain. I'm not good with them.
Oh dear, I'll do my very best.
You don't need to really don't handle corpses.
Hold it!
Okay, gonna take myself a drink. Like I've done voices for like 2.5 hours. I like doing voices with this game. It's very fun. What was the time of the day then, approximately? But I do this guy's voice as my own because I play as him, so that makes things a bit simpler as well.
Well, I could not say. But when I left the cemetery with my utensils and wax, the morning light was becoming visible.
The execution took place on the 7th of June, which had the earliest sunrise of the year.
Indeed it did. First light would have been around 4:40 in the morning.
That really is early.
The fact is, I had very little time, so I finished my work.
Sorry, it kind of gives me also the hiccups, that drink.
So I finished my work in half an hour. It was necessary to complete impression and bury the body before daybreak, of course. If somebody had discovered me there, it would have been a catastrophe, so I had to hurry.
Oh, yikes.
You certainly appear to go extraordinary length for your work, madame.
I wonder, is you... I'm gonna add both of these if they are allowed to add both. Madam, those details about how long it took you to complete the sculpture and the early sunrise. Can you include them to your testimony? I believe it might be significant.
Of course, if you would like me to. A sunrise at 4 in the morning. Would be absolutely unimaginable at home, wouldn't it?
That's not quite what I mean by significant.
Kindly amend your formal testimony then, madam.
With pleasure, my lord.
Okay, so let's check here. Do we have all of them? Nah, it seems that the... Yeah, I think it got destroyed, the other one.
Hold it!
Did you have a reason to believe you might be discovered once sunrise come up or something?
I had paid the gravedigger money to keep my little secret, of course. But with the morning light, I knew that the warden from the prison would commence his patrol of the area.
Couldn't you just have paid off the warden too, then?
I had already paid the gravedigger. As I said, you cannot buy the silence of everyone. Or the secrets is no longer a secret, huh?
The sunrise was at 4:40 AM that day, which means that it would have been around 4 when you began your sculpting work.
Oui, that was meant to be correct. That would be when the gravedigger gave me the signal to come out of hiding.
I don't know. We don't like, we have pressed everything. There are 2 places I can press either one. If I'm not mistaken correctly, because I'm pretty certain it like got deleted, the other one. But I just need to find something that in my chord record. I'm gonna do that before we actually is gonna press, or else I might just misclick. Ah, wait. Oh, wait, hold on. We have this thing, right? Death by hanging, confirmed midnight, 17th of June. Midnight, 4 hours, 3 hours. I don't know. I do not know. An impression of the visage was taken directly from the corpse in accordance with Tuspel's family principles. I enlisted the aid of the gravedigger and created a mold for the head in the cemetery just before the interment. It took me very long because it was before... Oh no, this is the one. It took me very long time because it was before onset of the rigor mortis. Wait a second, so if she says that it took a very long time because it was before the onset of the rigor mortis, but she did it at 4 and it was midnight, right? My television turned off. Am I wrong when I think that? Hello, welcome, I'm a viewer, to the stream I'm holding here in our little kingdom in the corner of Twitch. Grab yourself some snack and something to drink, and I do hope you enjoy the stream. But I think that I'm gonna try. I'm gonna first do my special and save, because I believe I might be a dumbass. Oh no, not the outer one. No, it wasn't the outer one. Hold on, I was mistaken. It kinda had like a glowing outline, it looked like. So I'm gonna present this.
Objection!
Oh, that worked. Because the music stopped. Madame Tuspel, I have here an autopsy report that was filed 10 years ago now. It confirms the death of the professor following his execution at the gallows.
And is that the problem?
I believe it is, because your testimony and particular detail in the report completely contradict one another. Are you going to explain yourself, my Nipponese friend?
According to her testimony, Madame Tuspels were creating her wax impression just before dawn. And at that time, rigor mortis has not yet set in. Am I correct so far, Madame? You are, yes. As I said, the stiffening of the jaw is the first sight of rigor mortis 2 or 3 hours after death. But the man's chin was limp, so he could not have been dead for a long time. But on the other hand, if you look at Dr. Scythe's report, it's quite clear that clearly states the following. Death by hanging confirmed at midnight, 17th of June. If the professor indeed died at midnight that day, then by the time you were sculpting his face, rigor mortis would have already have set in. Yes, you are right. The chin, it would have been completely stiff.
In other words, this report is wrong.
Objection!
No coroner makes mistakes when recording the time of death. The very idea is absurd.
In that case, there's only one possible conclusion. The execution didn't actually take place at the started time.
Order! Order! Council, this is beyond folly. Not only do you indict the author of the report of the Scythe, but you implicate members of the staff of Barclay Prison where the execution took place.
Objection!
I think I'm stirring up some shit here. My learned friend appears to have overlooked one very crucial fact.
What fact?
The professor died that night, without question.
Oh, he did, of course. He did. I moved the man's limp jaw with my... Yes, the professor died that night. But what if he didn't die at the gallows? I think I know what he's talking about, because we got this. Which states Mr. Drebber... Oh, also Mr. Drebber's dreadful encounter. Oi! Hello, I didn't see that before. Do you see that? Assman. I know that's Assman because look at this one. Yo, he was there as well? Yo, okay. Okay. But yeah, because the story was that he rose from the grave and Drebber heard a gunshot from across his shoulder somewhere and the man just went dead. So if that actually happened, so if that rumor happened, that means that he actually would have died later than 12 or midnight. Are you insane? Oh. Yeah, it's all coming together. We're knitting this all together like a very fine, I don't know what, hoodie. I could not actually remember what the hell to say, so I had to come up with something. Sweater. It was sweater I was supposed to say. Fucking hell. It's almost impossible to believe, but it would be explained the link between Dr. Scythe, the professor, and that one other person of interest. I have evidence that will explain exactly what I'm suggesting happened that night.
Council present evidence at once. The evidence that allegedly explains what really happened on the night in the professor's execution.
Take that!
This. What happened that night is written very plainly in this newspaper article. Executed criminal returns in the dead of night at local cemetery.
You're suggesting it was a corpse coming back from the dead.
Well, if this article is to be believed, yes. The professor, assumed dead following his execution, emerged from his grave and was killed again.
Objection!
And you cannot say it's not true because it was literally dead after 12, not at 12.
Don't be a fool. That's simply a rumor published by the gutter press. Can you be certain of that? Are you serious? The point is, as the article says, there was a witness to what happened.
Yeah, my word indeed.
Miss Wee, the young man who stole the cemetery... Man who stole into the cemetery by chance that night.
Objection!
Of course there was a witness. The story didn't write itself. But obviously the man made it all up.
And in any case, that was 10 years ago now. Would surely be no hope of finding him.
It's hella easy to fucking find him. On the contrary, my lord. We all know this witness very well.
What? Are you suggesting, Counsel, that you have identified the person in question? That you know who claims that have seen these utterly incredible events take place?
Yes, my lord. In fact, you say that he's right here before my very eyes.
You will sustain your latest claim now, Counsel. Who's the alleged witness this staggering scene? Yeah, I already know.
Bam.
Take that!
We knew that from the beginning. We just needed to somehow knit him together. The man in question is Mr. Enoch Drebber.
The previous witness.
The special exhibition in the horror house at Madame Tuspel's Museum of Waxworks recreates that decade-old scene in great detail. The condemned criminal emerging from the grave, and beside the tomb, a young man with a lantern stumbling upon the terrifying sight. And that young man is a 10-year younger Mr. Enoch Drebber. People say he has a black monocle. For me, it doesn't look like a monocle. It looks like it's just covering his eyes with something. Like, you know, his eye is like damaged or something, so you just have that there instead.
Surely not, Counsel.
Drebber was there, in Lowgate Cemetery.
What is this all talk about, Mr. Drebber? Is the name significant?
Of course, Madame Tuspel doesn't know, doesn't she? Or does she? Yes, it's extremely significant, Madame. To your situation as well, in fact.
What situation?
The theft of the Professor's waxwork from your museum some days ago was perpetrated by the very same man.
But that would mean...
Madame Tuspels. It would appear you know the name Enoch Drebber.
Oui, yes, I know it. But from long ago in the past.
What?
Good gracious.
Explain yourself. Tell us everything you know.
Yes. Yes, of course. The story of the young man, the terrible sight he witnessed in the cemetery 10 years ago, was published in every single newspaper in London throughout Great Britain.
I'll understood out.
However, in all of the articles, the witness was simply described as a certain young man.
It's kind of funny because it says a certain young man, but if we actually look here, it says Mr. Drebber's dreadful encounter, and the image was made by Mr. Assman, which is the dead person in this case.
That is apart from in one newspaper. The Daily Circus is the newspaper from which comes the article I've already shown in the court.
You're saying that this full name was only published in that article?
Goodness me, yes, here it is. The university student who experienced this shocking event is Mr. Enoch Drebber. A disciple of science at the University of London, and a resident of its own student dorms.
Unbelievable.
When I read the article, I went to meet with the man. His discovery of the condemned criminal coming back to life in the cemetery in the dead of night.
Just gonna check. Just checking the time.
Would make a perfect exhibit for my house of horrors, whether it was truth or not.
I see. So you went to meet Mr. Enoch Drebber, Mr. Drebber, in order to sculpt a waxwork of the man, did you?
Exactement. He was studying science at the University of London in those days. He was just a poor student. I paid him £5 to model for the waxwork, and since that time it's been in my museum to recreate the scene of terror from the cemetery.
Wait, so he's not the gravedigger? Why the hell was he there then? Oh, that's white. I'm right. So, 10 years ago, a young man appealed to the public about extraordinary events he'd witnessed. A criminal had been put to death, re-emerging from his grave in the middle of the night. But the public treated his claim as nothing more than an amusing anecdote that was soon forgotten. 10 years later, the same man steals a waxwork. Oh, wait a second. So here is something. We don't see who's actually there, and the one who says all these horrific things happen is Mr. Enoch Drebber. What if this guy is actually the professor? This is just a theory I have, or something like that. Because the one who discipled this thing is Mr. Assman, and the only one who would recognize this guy or someone here is literally just him. And that's the guy who died, and that's why Mr. Enoch Drebber killed him. It might be rather vague, but it's just like an example, because this puts these two together at a scene of something that was not supposed to happen. And that might also be why the coroner is into this, because she was the one that made sure he was supposed to be dead, but never died. So someone, or the professor, I still don't know, is dead in that grave. But he wasn't dead at first. And all these three people then linked together. Ostensibly to use as a body double for the victim in the case we're discussing here today. Even though the waxwork's build is a poor match for the victim, and its face is obscured by a mask. So the question is, why would a man do such a thing? Which brings us to 3 days ago, when the birdcage crashed into the Crystal Tower. If the birdcage has in fact contained not the body of Mr. Aspen. But to say, oh, you need to go. No problem, turtle girl. Have a good evening to you. I'm gonna continue for some time here until it's my turn to end the stream here. Speaking of, while we have some people, I do hope you stick around, because I will share the love and see if I can find someone to raid later. I'm just gonna pop that up for safety reason in the background here, just to see who I have. Might be a team member, might be someone I've learned to know a bit, who knows. The coroner from Scotland Yard who investigated Dr. Scythe would have noticed immediately. And yet, she submitted this autopsy report for the victim, which the court has seen earlier. Why? Because the waxwork was that of the professor. Is that what you're saying? Dr. Scythe put her name to a document confirming the death of a condemned criminal who was still alive. A criminal whose apparent resurrection was witnessed by Mr. Drebber. But that misconduct was deadly secret the coroner would do anything to protect. Which is precisely why Mr. Drebber used that particular waxwork as the body double. Okay, so they never work together, those two. But he just thought about it. That's interesting. My lord, this court must summon Dr. Scythe to the stand. The defense is determined to find out exactly how the coroner and Mr. Drebber were connected. Technically, that was against the law, well, against the rules of Mr. Stronghearth. Or Lord Stronghearth, but I do wonder if he's gonna neglect that now. But according to the massive missive I received this morning through the prosecution's office, Dr. Scythe is unable to participate in these proceedings. Is that not the case? Yes, because Lord Strongheart does not want to stir up the professor thing.
She told us herself, didn't she?
Lord Van Six won't be summoning me as a witness. Lord Stronghurst has forbidden it. I don't care. In the end of that box, there's still some hope. Something happened on the night of the killer's execution 10 years ago. And surely nobody would want to get in the bottom of that more than Lord Van Six. And that's why he was forbidden to actually call them as a witness. Because they knew that if that would stir up something, he would want to call that in as a witness. I do wonder if I can. The prosecution calls for the instructions in that massive to be scrapped. Oh, Jesus. He really is not gonna take this. He's really gonna do it. But Lord Van Six, the missive was issued from the Lord Chief Justice Office. The assigned prosecutor has the final say on the policy in any particular trial. In other words, me. He's not gonna take this. Because he knows that even though we might just do some scraps and just bullshit from his eyes, we are getting somewhere and he wants to know where that leads. Order! Very well, I will uphold your request. My leave, send in a Sabonia with immediate effect. Addressed to Dr. Scythe of the Forensic Investigation Team. The woman is compelled to attend on Her Majesty's orders. I do wonder what Strongheart has in mind for everything. Technically, many people here don't want us to know about the Professor deal and the Hound of Baskerville, which I don't know if the same thing. I don't remember, it might have been. But, yeah. It might actually have been the same if I don't remember incorrectly. I don't know. The truth behind all of this is about to come out. Ooh. Exciting! We have 3 people. Oh, her music. That's Dr. Scythe's music. I absolutely love it. Especially the beginning. Thank you for your attendance at such short notice, Dr. Scythe.
I'm disappointed in you, Lord Van Six. You completely betrayed the agreed policy of both Scotland Yard and the prosecution's office.
Betrayal is not in my nature, as long as the truth isn't compromised. If it is, if there's even a hint of wrongdoing, then no matter who it concerns or disgruntles, I will pursue the matter to the bitter end, as would any prosecutor worth his salt. Mr. Drebber, you took the victim's life by means of machine that you constructed in your workshop. And Dr. Scythe, as the investigation coroner, you were the first on the scene to examine the victim's body. It is the belief of the defense that you collaborated with each other and were both complicit in this crime.
And where is your evidence?
At present, we have not identified evidence, but we do have a very significant clue. What are you talking about? I'm talking, of course, about the waxwork. This model of the killer, known as the Professor, was sentenced to death 10 years ago. You don't need to tell me. I witnessed the main execution with my own eyes and officially pronounced him dead. That remains to be seen. Is that so? According to a newspaper report of the time on the night following his execution, the killer came back to life. Don't waste my time. And the sole witness to that mysterious event was you, Mr. Drebber, wasn't it? And I think someone actually did say that it scared him so badly, his hair turned white. It would make you privy to a very great secret of Dr. Scythe. A secret of so profound it could compel the coroner to agree to collaborate in your evil scheme, in fact. Mr. Drebber, tell the court, tell everyone the truth of what you saw that night in Lowgate Cemetery. Just checking. I don't know if his hand is made of metal or if it's just like, I don't know, things on his hand. What an interesting twist. When at time not one person take me seriously. Yet now here we are, 10 years later, and suddenly my story matters. And in a court of law, too. Very well, then. If everyone so wishes, let's be frank. I'll tell you the truth of what happened that night, for what it's worth. She's not liking this. So, Mr. Drebber, your testimony, please, about events of that night 10 years ago. You will tell the court exactly what you stumbled across in Lowgate Cemetery. Yes, of course, as you wish. Okay, so what did you witness? The reason I was in Lowgate Cemetery at all 10 years ago was for a spot of moonlight, shall we say? Yes, the illustration in that newspaper article was based on what I witnessed that night. But thinking back now, I realized that I never actually saw the professor. Soon afterwards, I was visited by a young woman who sculpted a model of me from wax. Then gave upon my dream of becoming a scientist. And it was all because of that newspaper article. Okay, so that's why you more or less just did not do that. Wait a minute, you're claiming you didn't actually see the professor now. Of course. You don't have to have a screw loose if you believe a corpse would come back from the dead. But, so you're saying this article is not worth the paper it's printed on? I think that would describe it perfectly, yes.
If the details in the article aren't true, it nullifies your argument for why Mr. Drebber and Dr. Scythe would have been working together.
So he's discrediting himself to cripple my argument.
Tell me, witness, You're claimed to have been in the cemetery on some auxiliary business. Can you collaborate? That's right. Grave robbing, to be precise. As you know, Lowgate Cemetery at the rear of Barclay Prison. So among students at the university, it had a reputation of being haunted by the ghost of condemned convicts. Grave robbing, you say? Yes, exhuming fresh corpses to sell is reasonably lucrative. Of course, I never laid a finger on any valuable buried with the dead.
So you say you were one of those so-called resurrectionists? A particularly unpleasant scourge on society.
Actually, my fellow and I weren't by another name. Repurposes. That is quite beyond the pale. You would invite divine reproduction, sir? Yes, well, I think I suffered retribution enough. The Daily Circus eventually unearthed my name, put it in print. It caused me a great many headaches. In the end, I had to leave the university. That was only paper with a bad grace to identify me unambitionedly, I might add.
I see. Out of interest, who drew the illustration of this article?
Ah, yes. That was the reporter who exposed me. The sketch that's right in front of me, as I described the scene.
That's why he wanted vengeance, I guess. That's why he's dead.
Obviously, as the time tick on, I bitterly regret what I done. Claiming to have seen something I never truly saw. Foolish. Very foolish. Well, counsel for the defense, you may proceed to the cross-examination now.
His voice is like, for some reason, the only one that's damaging my throat, I feel. And that's why I have something to drink. Okay, yeah.
Hold it!
You mean grave robbing, do you?
Surely you only need to look at the graveyard scene and my appearance to gauge the answer to that.
The lantern and spade. But who on earth would want to buy a dead body?
Any major hospital.
A hospital?
In order to better understand the human body, the study of anatomy is crucial to medical science. But there isn't a hospital in the world that has enough specimen to work with. Though obviously they can't openly express an interest in obtaining more by dubious means. As aspiring scientists, we young research students had no money to work with, as I'm sure you can imagine. So we made a surreptitious arrangement with the hospital via some of our medical student acquaintances. We would never take anything of value from the graves. This was all for the furtherance of science, you see. That's what we all told ourselves every time we stole into the graveyard at night, spade in hand.
You realize body snatching is a serious crime. If you were caught, you could be expected the gravest of consequences.
We students were caught between the hammers and an anvil. We needed funds for research.
Okay. Yeah, that's true.
I'm quite speechless at the appearance of levity with which you revealed this aberrant behavior.
Well, if you want me to know why I was there at Lowgate Cemetery, that's the reason. But I never expected to end the way it did. That I regret to this day.
You know what, I think we're gonna end it here because I think it's a good end to stop just in the beginning of this because I have stopped in the middle and I kinda just forgot what the hell I was